Welcome to Data Analytics in Anti-Money Laundering Analysis. Please confirm me whether you can hear me or not and whether is my screen visible to you or not. You can respond in the chat. Okay. So my name is Soil Merchant and today I will be taking this webinar. I am CTO and trainer at Tectar Solutions. But why I've chosen this topic and especially for the AML domain? Because I started my career in 2014 with Standard Chartered Bank Pakistan in the operation department. In the same year, I moved to Habib Bank Limited Pakistan, and there I was appointed as compliance officer looking after the screening area, sanction screening area, and later on business analytics and transaction monitoring. After that, I moved to Bank Al Habib in 2017, and there I also looking after to business analytics, transaction monitoring, and screening area. And in 2020, I started my own setup, Tectar Solutions, providing services in the domain of training, analytics, and consulting. And this is a short journey of mine. And in this journey, I have worked mostly in the business analytics side of AML compliance division. My major task was to develop the dashboards, perform different number crunchings, extract insights from the data, and same jobs in this domain. Now, before moving further in this webinar, I would like to take your input, your profiles, so that I can conclude and take this webinar in a sequential manner. You will have a poll on your screen. Please submit this poll. This poll has two questions. One, your organization. Number two, your Excel rating skills. Please submit this poll. Okay, thank you so much. Now, what we are going to do in this webinar? There are 4 sessions. First, we have to understand what is the workflow of data analytics. Then we will understand our role in this domain. What role you are playing in the AML area and what type of job you are performing in that particular role. Then we are going to see 5 practical examples from my experience, and we will see how Excel can help us to solve that particular problems. And in the last, you have some bonuses from my side. So let's start the journey. Number 1, what do you think? What is data analytics? You can respond your views in the chat. What do you think? What is data analytics? You can post your comments, your views, your answers, your feedback in the chat. In-depth analysis of data. Thank you, Daniel. What about others? Prediction of future data from current and past data, analyzing data in a meaningful way. Okay. Okay. Data analytics is a process through which you transform your raw data into insights and outcomes, right? Data analytics is a process through which you transform your data from raw data to and extract insights and outcomes. Now, this is a process, and we know that every process requires a sequential steps. So the number one step that we have to perform in data analytics starts with some of the steps. But before that, let's do our game. You have some cards on your screen. You can see there are different cards on your screen. Take 10 seconds and try to rearrange this card. What step should be first? What step should be second? What step should be third? So rearrange these cards in a sequential order. Your time starts now. The timer is running in the bottom of this screen. There are 7 steps. Arrange these steps in an order in which you think that data analytics workflow should be work or should look like. Time up. Let's understand each of this card in detail. Number 1. First of all, you have to understand the business case. On your screen, you have another poll. What do you think? Who is the ultimate business user of AML analyst? MLRO, okay. CCO, okay. Who is the ultimate business case or business user of regulator? Okay, good. Okay, right. Thank you so much. Now, let's understand this first. There are 3 different views. The highest view I have received is for the MLRO. Then we have regulator, and then we have CCO. Okay. Now, in the context of Pakistan, we are talking right now. Before 2020 and 19, there were AML regulations R1 to R5, right? After that, State Bank of Pakistan changes R1 to R5 with some additional regulations. Does this change affect the banking network, the KYC policy, the AML policies, the audit reviews, the thematic reviews? Does this little change of State Bank of Pakistan change whole AML structure, or yes or no? You can answer in the chat. A small change in regulation, a small change in SRO, a small change in circular make a huge change and impact in the AML area, yes or no? Anything that is changed by the regulator affect the AML area, right? So ultimate business case user of AML, CFT and compliance is the regulator, right? Let's understand this by another example. Let's suppose you have your audit, a thematic audit, internal audit, regulatory audit, something, any sort of audit. You get your audit results. You find out that there are weak points in that feedback, audit feedback. What you will do? You will definitely try to overcome those weaknesses into your strength before the next audit. Why? Because you want to safeguard your organization for the penalty, right? You want to safeguard your organization from any reputational loss, any financial loss, and these laws are implemented by the regulators. So the ultimate business case owners, the business users of AML CFT is your regulators. And under the guidelines of regulators, your MLRO, your CCO draft the policies, draft the SOPs, draft the general guidelines towards the department, right? Now, we have understood that we have to look forward and work under the umbrella of regulator, and this regulator provide guidelines under the name of Act, guidelines, SROs, circulars, and any other document, official document by the regulators. Once we have get this documents in our hand, what is the next step? The next step is to build measurement plans. Now, let's understand this by another example. Let's take an example of CTR, currency transaction reporting. What is the threshold of CTR in AML regulation right now? What is a 2 million, right? Okay, now this is a threshold, this is a KPI. Now again, let's drill down this KPI. 2 million, it's absolutely right. 2 million aggregated amount, 2 million split amount, what amount? 2 million aggregated amount, 2 million split amount. Okay, aggregated, right? So this is the KPI. KPIs are the benchmark or threshold. If anything goes beyond that, it comes under the red flag. And after that, AML analysts, AML department has to trigger their guns on that particular red flag, right? They have to investigate, they have to identify the evidences, they have to work on the data, right? And all of this work is based on the data. So measurement plan belongs to your KPIs. Measurement plans belongs to your thresholds. Measurement plans belongs to your benchmark, right? Which are set by the ultimate business users, regulators. From regulators, we have the CCO, and from CCO, we have the MLRO, who has the ultimate authority within the internal matter of the organization. Then comes under the area where we have to skill up ourselves, and that is the data, right? And in the third part of this webinar, we are going to look few examples and how we can take Excel expertise to solve those complicated problems, right? Now, when we talk about data, so there is only one door that we look after, and that door belongs to the information technology department, IT department. Any sort of data we require, we have to knock that door and we have to ask, please provide the data, isn't it? And there are some sort of disadvantages in this process. Time delay is one of the disadvantages, number one. Number two, we have to convey again and again what sort of data we needed. After this step, if we get the data, what we have to do? We have to perform a QA analysis, quality assurance. We have to check whether the required data fulfill our KPIs, fulfill our benchmark, fulfill our thresholds, yes or no. If no, then we have to again collect the data, right? And okay, by the way, what document is used to collect and prepare the data in AML CFT regulation? What document we use to collect and prepare the data at the organization level? I again repeat, at the organization level, what document we use to collect and prepare the data for the customer? For the customer, not for the IT, for the customer. Exactly, KYC. KYC is a document where we get all the information about the customer, right? And ultimately this KYC is part of the IT domain and we have to take data from them. Once we have collected that data and perform our analysis, next part is to understand the data. Now, there are two types of data. Generally speaking, on a broader level, I will just define these two types. One type is known as descriptive data. Another type is known as financial data, right? Now, to understand these two types of data, let's understand as an employee. When we are hired by any organization, that organization assigns us a number, our employee number, right? And before the hiring, they collect all the necessary information from us, like our name, address, contact number, address, email address, any other information. And this complete information is saved under one particular employee ID. Do you think that this information is updated on a regular basis? This particular biodata is updated on a regular basis? No. Perfecto. Now, on monthly basis, that particular employee received the salary. Might possible that that particular employee has taken the loan. For that purpose, bank will or organization will also deduct the loan amount. Now, do you think this information is based on regular interval? Salary, deduction of amount in terms of loan, deduction of provident fund. Is this a regular task? Right. So we have two types of data. One data represents the description of the customer, and that description is undertaken as the KYC of the customer. Then we have the financial statements or the account statement of the customer, through which we identify the red flags, match that red flags with the customer profile. If these red flags are okay, we are good to go and we will close the alerts. Another, if this red flags doesn't match with the profile of the customer, what we will do? We will file the STR. So again, to make the decision whether we want to file our STR or not based on the data, right? Therefore, before working on any data, it is necessary to perform a QA of the data, quality assurance of the data. Next, we have the analyze and visualization of the data. For this purpose, we use charts and graph, right? Then we perform some sort of data-driven insights, like for example, what is a trend? What is a comparison with the last month transaction, right? Okay, what is the change in the risk rating of the customer? So these are some of the data-driven insights that we extract from the particular information of a customer based on the KYC and based on the financial or account statement. And finally, we always optimize the outcomes, the KPIs, the thresholds, the benchmark that we have set in this step 2. Why? Because it's a need. If we don't do it, we will become a stagnant in the organization, and change is a need to perform better and best analytics in the AML domain. Now, here is a small exercise for you, but before that, just to recap, these are the 7 steps that you have to perform whenever you are going to perform AML analyst task. If you rearrange these steps in the activity number 1, bingo. If not, don't worry, the answer is in front of you. Now, here is a case study for you guys. You have been hired by a bank to review a revenue account of a XYZ country with the investigator. So for the investigator, you are the data analyst for that investigator. And the task of that investigator is to identify possible money laundering and embezzlement of public funds from the account statement. So this is the case. Now, who is the business user of this case? You are working for whom? Who is the business user of this case? No. No. Investigator. Whatever you are going to do will assist investigator to identify money laundering and embezzlement of the public fund. This is he or she is the business user in this case, right? the ultimate authority of your working, the ultimate authority for whom you are working is the business user of your case. Now, your task is to analyze the statement of account to identify trends and patterns of the inflow and outflow into the account. Number one. Number two, identify key transaction that can assist investigator. Number three, provide recommendation on the forward for the investigator. To perform these two tasks, I have selected two areas from the 7-step. Build a measurement plan and what sort of documents I need. These are the two areas in which you have to think what type of red flags you will identify, what type of analytics you will perform on this account statement, what should be the time period for the account statement. Think whatever you can. User experience, use the 7 steps. Think. Your time starts now. I will answer you in now Our task is to build a measurement plan, right? And for whom we are going to build this measurement plan? The investigator. The measurement plan requires thresholds. And to set the thresholds, we have been provided account statement. We can see, analyze the account statement. Why? Because we want to identify the trends and the patterns of inflow and outflow into the account. So first we have to understand this requirement. This is our JD, job description, right? And based on this job description, we are going to formulate or build a measurement plan. According to me, my first point in the measurement plan will be deposit analysis. How much inflow my customer for which I am going to investigate, I am going to perform the data analytics, deposit into his or her account, whether the deposits belong to transfer or cash. If it's a cash, then there is a red flag. If there is a transfer, then we can further investigate, right? Second point I will do is identify any other entities or individual who are depositing amount into that particular account. That particular individual who are depositing amount into that account may be anyone, maybe the beneficial owner, maybe relative, maybe employee, anyone. So this will be the two key areas in the deposit analysis that I will perform. So with the help of these particular areas, I will identify the number of the transaction pertaining to cash-based transaction and number of the transaction pertaining to the transfer. Then for the withdrawal, I have put a list of KPIs. I will apply filter for cash payments and also for the transfer payments. Who are the beneficial of these funds? Are the withdrawals above the reporting standard? And we have already said that the CTR in Pakistan is 2 million above aggregated in a single transaction. If any single transaction is above or equals to 2 million, that will be reported to State Bank of Pakistan under the umbrella of CTR. Now, if a person is doing structuring, if a person is splitting that particular transaction, then what? I will aggregate those amount and identify if that particular small chunks of amount make a big one threshold amount or not. Then I will identify major beneficiary of the fund from the account, as I've already done in the deposit. The same will be done for the withdrawals, so that I can cross check. Okay, these are the parties who are depositing, these are the parties who are withdrawing. Major source of and beneficiaries of both cash and transfer. So these are the few check marks, few measurement areas that I will bring into the knowledge of the investigator for whom I am working as a data analyst. Get the point? What is meant by measurement plan? Measurement plan are the KPIs or the threshold or the questions that you want to answer based on your data. If any question gets no, then you will further investigate. If any question gets yes, you will stop your investigation. That is known as red flags. Then we have the data. From where we are going to take the data? In my opinion, I will take 1 year of the account statement in Excel format, because utilizing Excel on any organization is more convenient than utilizing any other BI or any other tool in the organization. So Excel is a friendly software in any organization. So these are the two areas: measurement plan and collect and prepare the data with my opinions. You can argue with any of the points. You can raise any of your points. Addition to these points, the chat is open for you. If you have any other points other than these points, the chat is there for you. I hope now you have understood, okay, this is the meaning of measurement plan, the KPIs. This is the meaning of collect and prepare the data. Now, we are moving on to the second session of this webinar, the role of data analyst. We have understood these 7 key areas, right? Each of these key areas are performed by a position, a specific position, designated position. For example, when we talk about understand the business case and build a measurement plan, who will do it? What do you suggest? Who will do it? Yourself, your team leader, your supervisor, MLRO, CCO, chairman of the board? Who will do it? Who will understand the business case and who will build the measurement plan for the department? MLRO, case investigator, okay. MLRO, okay. Why always MLRO? Why not CCO? Chief Compliance Officer, why not CCO? Why not chairman of the board? Why? Might be CCO just approved that, right? Okay, now. Okay, right. Thank you everyone for your comments in the chat. Now, let's understand. A change is drive in AML Act. All the banks in Pakistan are communicated of that change. Inside the organization, a team is formulated under the AML, led by the MLRO, to formulate a new guidelines for the department. This guideline will be formulated by MLRO. Perfecto. Who will sign that guideline within the organization? This guideline will be prepared by the MLRO, but who will sign that guideline? Now you get the point. Who are the business case users? Everyone who are at the strategic position. Everyone who are at the strategic position inside the organization, they are known as management. Outside the organization, they are known as regulators, right? So if we separate these two steps belongs to data stewards. These are the people who develop, manage, ensure data integrity and policies. Got the idea? Then we have third and fourth steps. Let's segregate this from the journey, from the process. Then we have data regulars, commonly known as IT. Now let's understand this point. There is a requirement of data. The State Bank or any regulator has asked us to provide this information or this fields as a data to them. What will be the first step? We will get ourselves towards the IT. Ask the IT to provide the data because they are the data wranglers. Isn't this possible, or would it be good for the AML department if data wranglers are present inside the department? Well, this idea will be good to hire a data wrangler inside the department of AML rather going again and again towards the IT. What do you think? Hiring a data wrangler inside the department is good or not? The person who will get the data from the KYC module, the person who will get the data from the IT data sources inside the AML department, rather going again and again towards the IT, identify the data, identify the discrepancies in the data. Isn't it good idea to hire a data wrangler inside the department of AML whose job is to collect and prepare the data as and when required by any of the analysts inside the department, right? So to perform this particular task, Microsoft Excel provide us a tool known as Power Query, right? This Power Query is so efficient that it can make your task automated. Just a click of button and it will perform n number of steps that you perform on regular basis. We are going to look after some of the examples of this Power Query in the third part of this webinar. Then we have analyst in the department, Power Analyst. For this Power Analyst, Microsoft Excel has different tools in the bucket. The first one is formula and functions. Then we have pivot tables and pivot charts. Then we have Power Pivot, and finally we have charts and graph. What this Power Analysts do, they are known as AML analysts, they are known as compliance analysts, they are known as business analysts, they are known as IT analysts. They are responsible to report and dashboard for the data. Now, when we talk about the report, they are responsible to identify the discrepancies in the data. They are responsible to identify why, what is the trend, right? So they are known as Power Analyst. And to become a Power Analyst in your department, it's necessary to master this 4 skill at least inside Microsoft Excel. And finally, we have the last one, collaborative user, who present the insight and the business knowledge towards the management, right? To the external stakeholders like regulators, internal stakeholders like the BOTs, and so on and so forth. So now my question to you, again, there is a poll for you. In which category you fall yourself? What is your role as a data analyst in AML department? Are you data steward? Are you data wrangler? Are you power analyst? Are you collaborative user? Okay, power analyst, right. Right. Data steward. Oh, we have 2 data steward. That's good. Okay. Meanwhile, there is a question in the chat. When will we have this material for our further review? Is there any portal to access this material? Ahmed, I will answer your question at the end of this webinar. Don't worry. Thank you very much for your response. I hope now you have understood, okay, this is my role and these are the skill sets that I need to learn to become more efficient in the area of AML. Thank you very much. Now it's time for the 5 practical examples. Okay, now what I will do, I will allow you to unmute your mic, give your suggestion on a particular problem, and after your suggestion, I will show my approach to solve that particular problem. So now it's a two-way communication. Just ask me in the chat to unmute your mic. I will unmute your mic. You can give your suggestion and I will perform that task on my screen so that other users also can understand and I can also learn from your approach. So just give me a second. Okay, guys. Now, on my screen, you can see 4 different CSV files: Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. In this CSV file, IT has provided me Q1 account statement. You can see transactions, check number, transaction, description, debit and credit amount. Then I have Q2 like that. Then we have Q3 like that. And then we have Q4 like that. Our role is to provide and extract the insights from these 4 different statements. How you will perform this task? This is the first example of related to AML. You can relate this example as, let's suppose you have Mentos alerts, right? And you get these alerts every monthly basis, and you want to pile up a master file to consolidate all those alerts in one file. How will you do that? Power Query is the right answer. Why? Nasir, why? Umira and Nasir has said Power Query. Why? I am unmuting Nasir, your mic. Now this is a collaborative learning. Please participate. Nasir, please unmute your mic. Okay. Nasir, why Power Query?
It has a functionality to combine all the multiple files and bring it at one place rather than copying it from all the 4 files and opening it. It'll bring closer. So just you'll click one button and it'll copy from, it'll combine into one file.
Thank you, Nasir. Now, another question, Nasir.
Yeah.
Which role do you think it's belong? Data wrangler, data steward, power analyst, or collaborative user?
It belongs to data wrangler.
Exactly. Why? Because data wrangler is responsible to combine and consolidate your data, right? So if you are performing this sort of task in your organization, then you have to make yourself master in the Power Query. So let's do it this. So this is a file in which I want to consolidate all those 4 quarters file. How I can do it? In the data, that data from file, from folder. I will choose this option. This is a folder which has all the consolidated CSV files. Open. You can imagine how fast this job is. Rather opening every file, copy pasting each and everything, how you can imagine. Just click on this button, combine file, that's it. Power Query inside your Microsoft Excel will perform all the tasks. Just wait and watch. Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, load, close and load, and the task has been done within a click of view. We can see every quarter file in front of us, right? So if you are performing this sort of task, then you have to master yourself in the Power Query skills. Then we have another example of name matching. How many of you are performing task as a name screening area? Either using SafeWatch, either using HotScan, any other document or any other software to perform a name screening task. Okay, if you're using this name screening software, please also comment your software in which you are working. Which software you are using. In the chat, please also comment the software name. I have worked with the SafeWatch. Equity, okay, very good. SafeWatch. Okay. Now, anyone who would like to volunteer himself or herself? I have few questions. Anyone who can volunteer?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Go ahead,
Nasir,
Sal.
you are again. Okay. Nasir, how this software works?
Basically, we have what we do is that we have a customer base which we upload it. Okay, and daily and file gets uploaded into the system. Okay, it screens against the names and it generates some alerts.
Exactly. Nasir, now my counter question is, what if there is a bug at the IT side? Your software is not in the running condition and you have to report State Bank on any regulator on urgent basis, your findings. How you are going to perform that task? Your software is not in
Manually,
the run manually. Is it possible?
not at all.
Not at all, right? So let's see how we can do this again inside Power Query, right? So again, is another example of Power Query. Thank you, Nasir. So on my screen, you can see two lists. Let me collapse this, right? One, this list belongs to my customer, right? This list belongs to the customer provided by OFAC, provided by regulators to them. We don't need to do any sort of business transaction. So they are the blacklisted persons and they are my organization person. I want to identify city and state. If any of the person relates to this person, I have to report those customers. Here we can see we have Hassan, and here we have Hassan with single S, double S. One way, if I identify and use VLOOKUP function, this will not work because of mismatch of the name. Then we have here Harden. Then we have again here we have Stephen. We have something like that. So we have jumble up name. How we can do it? Let's get this data into Power Query. Again, data from table range. This is my first table. Let term as my customer. Close and load to and this is a database provided by my regulator, right? So again, from table range, and let's suppose table master, right? Now I want a volunteer who has expertise in VLOOKUP. Any volunteer who has the expertise in VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP function inside Microsoft Excel. Please unmute your mic. Any volunteer who have the expertise in VLOOKUP, please unmute your mic. Nasir, you are back. Okay, welcome back. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Nasir. How you will perform VLOOKUP on this area? We have two tables, my customer and table master, right? And we want to pull these three columns in my customer. If you are using VLOOKUP, what will be your lookup value?
It should be the exact name. It should be the name.
Right. So here we have the alternate of VLOOKUP, right? And this is known as merge query. So I want to get data from this table inside this table. So I will use merge query. Thank you, Nasir.
Yeah.
So Power Query says, okay, this is your first table, my customer. What is your second table? My second table is table master. What columns I want to match? I want to match my name column with the name column. And here there is an option of fuzzy matching. Nasir, is this the same option you have in your SafeWatch, HotScan, Lexi and Nexi, any other software, fuzzy matching?
Yes, correct.
Right. And here we can type the threshold percentage. What is the threshold percentage for us? Let's suppose I am of the opinion that, okay, let's go with the 0.7 percentage. Let's find out the name matching at the 0.7 percentage. Press OK. And that's, we have Hassan with single S matching with the double S and all the other values. 7.
Yeah. Sohel, 70% of matching, right?
Exactly.
Then 70.
Exactly. We can modify this threshold again. If this is not the good threshold, you can go with the 0.8. By default, this threshold is maintained at 0.8 by Microsoft, right? So by
Okay.
default value is 0.8. You can modify this value to 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, or any other value. Right, guys? So this is another area you can utilize this function inside your AML domain if there is any sort of issue with the name matching criteria. So another exciting tool inside your Excel. Then we have third example with us, filter and sort. Right now, this is a hot topic within the banking industry of Pakistan just because of the top 100 transaction. One of the issues that I have, that my client called me and told that Mohammed Qasim, okay, if there is a question, if Hassan name is more than one, it will repeat n number of time. It will match all the Hassan matching with the 0.7%. Right? Okay. So now let's back to the talk, filter and sort. So the question that those guys asked me, that we have received the data from the IT division and the columns are not sorted as per the regulator requirement. We have to manually do copy pasting each of the column. Is there any quickest way we can do it? So this was a scenario. I said, yes, there is a scenario and there is a quickest way to do it. They said what? Just look at this data. Let's suppose I am answering that scenario in the context of this data. Let's suppose we have 6 months budget denoted by B, January budget, Feb budget, March, April, May, June. This is a budget and these are the actual value, right? What we are going to do, we want to sort this column in a quickest way so that January budget associated with this January actual amount, and besides that we can easily calculate variance. So we have to align these columns in a way that January actual, then January budget, then January variance. Then we have Feb budget, Feb actual, Feb variance, March budget, March actual, March variance, and so on and so forth. Right? So anyone who has the quickest possible method to do this task within 3 minutes. The maximum time allowed to perform this task is 3 minutes. Anyone who would like to volunteer, or should I continue? Okay, let me tell you. So the option we are going to use is hidden inside again data, not Power Query Nasib. This time, let's learn something else. So the option is hidden inside the data, and under data, we have the option sort. This is the option that we are going to use, right? So what is the technique? Technique is we have 3 categories. First category belongs to budget. Second category belongs to actual. Third category belongs to variance. So we will label all of these 3 categories. Let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we are again starting a new category, actual. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And finally, we have to enter a new value for the variance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we will select these columns. We will utilize the tool hidden inside the data, sort. And here there is a hidden option. We will this time choose sort left to right. Okay. This asks us where is the labeling of the columns, which label we need to use. So the label are inside row number 2. Press OK. That's it. All the columns are sorted as per our need within a click. Now what? We want to calculate the variance. So for the variance, we are going to use home, find and select, go to, and here we will choose blank. This blank will select all the blank cells inside the selected range equals to January minus actual and control enter. Every variance has been calculated. Now what? We have this value issue. So we'll again go to home, find select, go to special. This time we are going to use formula, errors, okay, variance, control, enter. The task has been done. This particular task that my client in the banking sector used to do takes around 3 to 4 hours just to copy paste manually each of the column as per the regulator requirement. Again, this task can be done and automized with the help of Power Query, but this is the another approach you can utilize in your daily task just to sort your column as per the regulator requirement. Good to go. Okay. Then we have pivot tables. Okay. Now, here is another example. First, I will give you a scenario in the AML area. Let's suppose you have data from the ID. That data has multiple columns with codes. For example, current account equals to code number 1001. Head office branch equals to code number 2001, right? Something coding system is there. And you have another file that has the description of that coding. You are not expert in Microsoft Excel formula and functions. What is the alternate way you can do it? So this is a file that has been provided by IT, and this is a file that has all the description of this particular transaction code. You are not required to perform any or write any formula and function in Microsoft Excel. What is another way you can do it? I hope the scenario is clear. Okay, so let me perform this task for you guys. Okay, Nasir, I need your help. Nasir,
Yeah.
how to use VLOOKUP?
Equal to VLOOKUP.
Equals to VLOOKUP, right? This is a value I want to find from this area.
And you'll put comma and you'll select that which you want.
Right. 2 and 0.
2, 0.
Right. This is the way to use functions and formula in Microsoft Excel. Right? Thank you. Thank you so much, Nasir. Another approach is hidden inside Power Pivot. This is another tool introduced by Microsoft Excel, Power Pivot. So manage. Let's add these tables in the data model. We have the data model, add this table, add this table. And just like we write the VLOOKUP function identifying the 2 common fields in the table, what we are going to do, we are just create a relationship between these 2 fields, transaction code with the transaction code. That's it. And here we have the pivot table. Click on pivot table, new worksheet. Okay. And here we can utilize this multiple tables to create our analysis. No formula writing, just get this data inside the pivot table, utilize the function of relationship building and create your tables on your pivot table directly. No formula writing. Why? Because Microsoft is approaching a vision known as low code, no code. Low code, no code. Okay, let me show you this approach again. So we have these two tables, right? What I have done, I have called this table inside Microsoft Pivot Table. How to do it? Go to Pivot Table and click on this Add to Data Model. When you will click on this Add to Data Model, you will find the table on the Microsoft Power Pivot screen in the diagram view. Then call this second table, click on it, Power Pivot, Add to Data Model. Again, you will find that same table on your Power Pivot screen under diagram view. Now your job is just to relate the common fields inside this table. The common field we have is transaction code and transaction code. Just drag and drop. Let me delete this first. Drag and drop. That's it. Pivot table, pivot table. Okay, and here I go, right? And now from here I can utilize the fields I have, right? Table number 3, table number 6, we have transaction description in the rows, debit amount in the values, credit amount in the values. No need to write any VLOOKUP formula, just relationship building inside Power Pivot and you are good to go to create your pivot tables. Another approach to perform the same task. Is this clear? The lady who's asked the question to repeat. Now, the final and the most interesting one, I think so. Again, here we are going to utilize the pivot table opportunity we have. So, you have two different account statement, one for January to June 2015. Another one is from July to December 2015. Your task is to create a pivot table, right? Combining both this account statement into single pivot table. Anyone who can do this or guide me? You have two account statement. You have to create a single pivot table containing dates from January till July, till December. Power Pivot, we can do it. What is the another approach? We have covered Power Pivot, we have covered Power Query. Now let's do something with pivot tables, right? Let's do something with the pivot table. Now, we have pivot table. I think everyone has used this option pivot table. But there is a hidden key, and that hidden key is press Alt, release your hand, now press D, release your hand, now press P. Alt, D for duplicate, P for Pakistan. Once you press those keys, you will get this dialog box. This dialog box is the pivot table widget. Now in dialog box, you have three different options. What we want to do, we want to combine these two different ranges from January to June, from July to December. So we are going to choose this option, multiple consolidation ranges. Next, now it asks, where are your ranges? My ranges are from this area to this area, at again selecting the another ranges for July to December, this area to this area, at, so see we have two ranges, one for January to June, another one for July to December. How I have called this dialog box? Alt, release your hand, press D, release your hand, press P. Next, existing worksheet. This is a worksheet. I would like to create my pivot table. Press finish. Now just last thing, value field setting and sum OK. Here we can see dates from 30th January 2015 till 26 December 2015. And here is our original data source for two different time interval, right? So another technique, there is another approach we can do it, and that is power query. There is another approach we can do is power pivot, but I don't recommend to do power pivot. I will recommend to do power query. Let's understand how we can do inside power query. So first we have to convert this data into table. Let's rename this table Jan to June. Jan to June. And again, convert this table. Okay. This one is July to June. July to December. Just to resize it. Okay, now data from table and range. We have Jan to June data, close and load to only connection. Again, data from table range. We have December. So we have two different reports on our screen, Jan to June, July to December. We have already covered the approach we can use with merge query. The second approach is append. So we will click on append as new. And this time we have to identify, okay, this is the first table that will be placed above, that is Jan to June. This is a second table that will be placed below, that is July to December. Press OK. And the work has been done. Just few clicks, no copy paste, nothing. Close and load to pivot table report, existing worksheet. Here we are creating it and OK. Right? So to do a same task, we have multiple options in Microsoft Excel. Right, guys? I hope that these different techniques related to Power Query, related to Power Pivot, related to pivot table, you will utilize in your daily tasks. These are available inside your Microsoft Excel, but you have to just explore it. So we have wind up with the third part of this session. The last part is the bonus. So from 5th February, we are going to launch new batch for Power Pivot, Power Query, and Excel pivot table. Cumulatively, this will cost you 31,000 PKR, but we are offering a 35% discount till Feb 3rd if you enroll in 3 courses, right? Rest of the information are available on our site. You can go check out all the pricing detail or the content, everything is there. If you want any further information, you can connect me on the WhatsApp number available on the website. Last one, how you will get the resources of this webinar. So on our website, you will find a session of resource. In the resource, you will find TechFlix section. This is a session, TechFlix. Your webinar recording will be available in this area, right? Here you can find all the webinars that we have conducted from our platform or another platform under the head of TechFlix. So right now we have wind up this webinar. Thank you for your participation. The floor is open. Your questions are welcome in both English and Urdu. Whatever you have convenience, you can ask your question. But before that, just one last thing. Yes, guys. Any question, guys? You can unmute your mic anytime. You can ask your questions related to your daily job routine, anything. We have 45 minutes to discuss your daily issues. I will try to answer as much as possible. Any question, guys? No, Emma, this webinar has no certificate. How to get the valid error and empty? Asif, please unmute your mic and ask this question so that I can understand better.
Hello.
Yeah, yes, Asif.
When we transform the data into the data model, then in the transform tab, we get the valid error or empty. This will be at auto check from the 0% or 100%. How can you get this field enable?
There are multiple
when
reasons.
we either merge or append.
No, there are multiple reasons. When you will get this errors, either valid errors or empty error, there will be a code assigned to that particular error. So we have to identify that code and we have to dig out what's the reason behind this particular code. So just to say valid error or empty error is a generic term. We have to identify that particular error.
How we can get this error? How can clear the data from
if you provide me any particular code number of that particular valid error or empty error, then I can answer your question in a better way. Okay. So will this webinar have certificate? No, this webinar has no certificate. Any discount for multiple registration, Talal multiple registration and group discount, you can check out the website, everything is there. If you enroll in 3 courses, right, then you will get a 35% off. Group discount is available and you can check out the website. Any other question, guys, related to your daily task? Recording is also there on the TechFlix. I've already shared. Go to the website, resources and TechFlix. Let me show you again. I hope my screen is shared to you. So this is the resources TechFlix. Here you will find the webinar recording. Right? So guys, thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, Asif, please unmute your mic.
हाँ चलो 5:30 बजे बोला था आने का.
Asif, please mute your mic.
Okay.
Okay, guys, thank you very much for your time. And hopefully you have learned something new in this webinar. And see you in our next webinars. Stay tuned. Do subscribe our mailing list on the website. See you. Stay safe. Stay at home.